But as far as like the homeless people, like they're obviously the bottom class, consider like as far as the classism that you were talking about is concerned. And so, like I kind of I'm almost envious of the homeless to a degree because they have a degree of freedom that we don't have as far as like being able to go where they want when they want. Like, but don't get me wrong, there's obviously some cons to having to deal with the elements and these types of things as well. Um, but like you were saying, given our wealth, given our abundance in our society, like there shouldn't even be homeless. And like instead of throwing all this food away, there's so many people that would be very willing to sign waivers at grocery stores every day and at restaurants every day to eat the food.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be throwing all this food away. It's
Right.
absolutely ridiculous. But it's all part of the setup to like make people work. It's all locking up the food and making food a product instead of something that can be gathered or hunted.
Yeah, I was reading that in your Ishmael notes, I think, about
Right.
like not people not just because if everyone had access to food, then no one would work.
Right. And that's kind of like, you said you wanted to talk about, kind of bring the conversation back to, tribes when we took a break just a minute ago. And I think, homelessness is kind of actually a pretty easy segue into tribes, or at least into like showing us how it can be done. Because like they're doing it against the government's wishes and against like the upper classes, the ruling class, whatever you want to call them, against their wishes, and they're still succeeding, And it's like they're a loose tribe. They're a very loosely organized tribe, but homeless people recognize other homeless people, and I think there's a certain respect there. Like you're living it, you're making it as a homeless person.
Do you think that they're not to interrupt you, but you think that they're succeeding though?
To a very small degree, but where I was going with that is in order to make it more successful, I do think we need to push the officials to just stop. Stop. I think really a big part of it is stop throwing the food away at restaurants and stop throwing the food away at grocery stores. And why are we throwing all of this food away? If you really think about that, the real reason to do that is to tell homeless people that they're trash, to enforce this sense of they're supposed to be looked down upon.
Well, I don't know if that's the only reason they do that.
I feel like it's the only reason.
No, I think it's cheaper to do it like that
than to give it to homeless people.
Yeah.
Why? How is that cheaper?
Because it adds another cog into the things that people have to do, and like.
What do you mean?
Like you said, grocery stores, like how they would have to take those vegetables that.
The homeless people would go to the grocery store.
Well, yeah.
When they go to throw it away. You don't have to like organize any labor. The homeless people will do that labor. If they're getting free food, they'll do that labor. You know what I mean? You don't have to. That's not an extra cost. There's no extra. I don't.
No, I mean to the not to the person, but to the supermarket.
But there's no extra cost to the supermarket. The homeless people will do that work. No questions asked.
What do you mean do that work?
As far as they will get the food.
So they're going to stand at the trash can and wait?
Right. Yeah. If you're literally going to throw it away, why not just, put it on a cart, roll it out to the homeless people that are in line waiting for it?
Yeah.
And you're making society way happier. Like instead of homeless people feeling like
I just don't know that like the only reason that
what other reason? Think about that. What other reason are grocery stores and restaurants throwing food away when there's people starving? And they talk about we need to increase food production to help the starving, but they're starving people in their own community that they turn away every day.
I mean, have you ever worked in a restaurant?
Yeah.
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 So you know how much food gets wasted.
Yeah. That's part of the reason I had this thought.
So did you work as a dishwasher?
I worked all the backroom jobs. I worked as a server at a couple places.
I worked as a dishwasher for one summer at a barbecue restaurant, and then I worked as a line cook another time. I worked as a line cook when I was at UVA. But anyway, for all of you that have never worked in a restaurant, there's a ton of food that gets wasted.
You don't have to cook it. Give it to a homeless person. They're finding a way to cook that motherfucker. I guarantee you. You talk about gritty people, like they're finding a way type people. Because that's
Yeah.
how else are they even alive right now if they're homeless? You know what I mean?
Right.
They're finding a way.
Yeah.